I've got 5 pounds of beef back ribs, and I've got a new rub that I'm going to be using. So today I'm going to be smoking up these beef back ribs out on the pit barrel cooker. So what I have here are 5 pounds of beef back ribs. Now, a lot of times people look down on these because they don't tend to have quite as much of that puffy meat that you'll get in short ribs or in the big dino ribs, but there's a lot of great meat in these, a lot of great flavor. You can see there's good marbling in these, and when you get a good rub on it and you get good smoke on it, they're just fantastic. I've done them many times. Now, the rub I'm going to be using today is one of several that was sent to me from Steven Reichlin's Project Smoke. There are 6 different rubs that come in sort of a package, and the one I'm going to be using today is a Kansas City smoke rub. I've tried it out, it's fantastic. I've tried 3 or 4 of the other ones too already, and they're just really, really good rubs. So we're going to go ahead and get these going with this Kansas City smoke rub. And let's be moving everybody around here to get every side coated here. We won't worry really that much about the back side of these beef back ribs. And I'll put a link down in the video description to where you can check out these rubs. It's actually a pretty good price. It's like $25, somewhere around there, for all 6 rubs on Amazon. I used one called a Malabar steak rub on some beef the other day. It was really, really good. The other thing I like about these rubs is they're not salt heavy. There's salt in them, but they're not really, really forward in the salt. There's a lot of great herbs and spices in them. They also have several different barbecue sauces that I'll be using in some upcoming videos. I'm not going to be using on this because I really just like the rub flavor on these beef back ribs. If you want to sauce them though, go ahead. I'm one of those people that says if you like sauce, use sauce. I'm not some purist that says you can't have sauce on beef. A lot of people say that. I don't care. I like sauce on anything I want it on. All right, these are ready. Let's get them out to the pit barrel cooker. All right, we're just going to start getting our beef back ribs on here, arranging them bone side down. Go ahead and get our hanging rods in. These are part of the venting system. Going to get our lid on and get smoking. So these beef back ribs are going to take several hours today on the pit barrel cooker. I find that these usually take somewhere between 4 and 7. Now for the pit barrel cooker, I have the bottom vent set for the recommended setting at my altitude, about a quarter way open. And generally the pit barrel cooker runs between 275 and 300. I put a temperature probe in there once just to sort of see how it ran, and it was really in that like 280, 285 range pretty steadily throughout the entire cook. As long as you leave the lid on and don't introduce a lot of oxygen continually, you're gonna get a fairly steady cook. Now we're just gonna let these go, probably check them after about 2 hours, and it depends on how they're looking at that point, tenderness-wise and doneness-wise. I may start thinking about putting them in a foil pan later with a little bit of moisture, you know, sealing it with foil and putting it back on. We'll just see, play it by ear. I've had these go where they don't need any wrapping anytime in a foil pan, and sometimes they do. So, see you back here in a couple hours. All right, we've been going for 2 hours here. Let's have a look at our beef back ribs. Oh, we're getting really nice pullback on the bones here. Just want to do a little bit of probing for tenderness right now, just to see how we're looking. You know, they're probing pretty tender, but not fully tender. Still a little bit of resistance. So my guess is, from what I'm seeing here, is that I'm going to let these go another hour uncovered, and then I am going to put them in a foil pan for about an hour to finish up. So we're going to go ahead, get the lid back on, and let these keep smoking. See you back here in about an hour. All right, we're 3 hours in. I think we're going to wrap these in some foil in a foil pan with a little bit of moisture. I'm going to go ahead and start transferring these to our foil pan. Fighting the flies here today. Everybody wants some of these ribs. I'm going to go ahead and add about a half cup of apple juice to this, just for some moisture. We're going to seal this up with foil. Let's go ahead and get this back on the PBC. Gonna get our lid on, go for another hour, and then I think we'll be done. All right, we are just over 4 hours here. Time to check these ribs. Go ahead and peel back the foil here. Those are looking and smelling fantastic. I'm just going to do a quick probe check here. Yeah. And I can see that just sliding in and out. Super tender. All right, we're going to get these in, let them rest for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to have a taste. All right, here we have some of our beef back ribs that have that Kansas City smoke rub on them. And as you can see, even after being wrapped in a foil pan with some liquid, the bark on this is just terrific. Really well-developed bark. Yes, that's bark. It's not burnt. For those of you who keep saying, you burn your food. That's called bark. There's a difference. But right now, let's just kind of cut into one of these, get some meat off, and then we'll do some tasting. So let's just start with this guy here at the end. And that meat just pulls right off there. Very juicy. You can see that in there. We have a nice smoke ring. You can just see it there along the cut line. I mean, I can stand here all day and just cut meat off of these, but let me just say it right now. It's time to taste. Yeah, if you're noticing different colored shirts, because I had to change my shirt because when I moved the lid of the PVC, it kind of brushed up against it, so that happens. Now on beef back ribs, there is a membrane just like on any other rack of ribs, and when they're cut individually, that membrane is still there. You can take it off at the beginning, but one of the things I've found, because beef ribs tenderize so much, that if you take that membrane off, you have a chance of that meat really just sort of coming off the bone too easily. I don't mind leaving it on there. It pulls off easily for anyone who wants to take it off, and it's really not much of a problem. So let's have a taste. Oh, that is good. It's just falling off the bone here. Oh, I always say with pork ribs, I like a little bit more of a bite. I don't like fall off the bone. Beef ribs, to me, when you get them just right, it's kind of like right on the edge. You can get a bite, but they're ready to fall off the bone. And these are right on that edge. I can just sit here and pull the meat off. The flavor from that Kansas City smoke rub, honestly, it's really terrific on here. I haven't tried that on pork yet, but I gotta say for the beef here with these beef ribs, just perfect. Total cook time on these ribs was just over 4 hours on the PBC. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but I was using post oak for smoke. I've said it many times, I love post oak when you're doing things like beef ribs or chuck roast, things like that. Just a really great flavor to develop. And I think that works really, really well with this rub. This is on the shorter end of the time frame for beef ribs that I'm used to. Usually it's more in the 5.5 hour range. So a little over 4 hours, I'm not complaining, and they're perfectly tender, perfectly juicy, just some really terrific ribs. So beef back ribs can turn out terrific when they're given the right amount of time, a good seasoning. You can do them on the pit barrel cooker, you can do them on the offset smoker, you can do them on the Weber kettle. Many ways to do them. I gotta say, don't overlook this cut of beef at the store if you see them. They just turn out fantastic.